Welcome back to our final online lesson for World War II. Today we're going to be looking at the Holocaust. And I know this is an area of interest. A lot of people have expressed they wanted to talk about in class, so we're going to. Again, today, much like one of the previous lessons, it's a little bit different. For this lesson, you'll be asked to create your own notes. Again, you can use any format you want. All right, so it can be a concept map, it can just be an outline, whatever you want to do, as long as you have this information down. So this is what you need to include. Was the Holocaust just a World War II event? Why did so few people stand up to the Nazi Party? How were Jews identified? What was it like in the death camps? And what are some lessons that we can learn from the Holocaust? It is important to remember that the Holocaust was not just a World War II event. It lasted over 12 years. It began well before World War II did. And this process was carried out by thousands of Nazis as part of Hitler's plan to create one race in Germany. He had this idea of a final solution. So for those of you that aren't familiar with this, he believed that blonde-haired, blue-eyed individuals would one day inherit the earth, and that would be the number one race in the world. Now, this is a little contradictory because Hitler himself has dark hair and dark eyes. However, that was what his ideal human being would be. Keep in mind that during the Holocaust, it was not just the Jewish individuals that were targeted. That's the biggest group. However, gypsies, people with limitations such as handicaps, were also targeted. People who were thought to be gay or lesbian were targeted. So there were a lot of groups that were targeted by the Nazis. So really, to begin the Holocaust, which was known as a genocide because it's the attempt to exterminate an entire race, there was the denial of rights. Beginning in 1933, Hitler slowly began to take basic freedoms away from Jews. They couldn't own their own businesses. They couldn't travel the streets without a certain note. Could not be out late. They had a curfew. They couldn't own certain things. These were just a few of the ways rights were denied. If you look up here, you've got people in concentration camps lined up in their uniforms. You've got individuals who have been maybe not arrested, but have been captured, and they're being put onto these carts or these carriages. Deportation. Millions of Jews were forced to wear the yellow star. This would identify them as a Jewish individual. All the Jews are rounded up and taken to concentration camps. Here the idea was for Jews and others, again, others, there were other groups, to work until they were no longer capable to do so. They often worked making supplies for the German military until disease or starvation ended their lives. Many people knew, especially when this started going on, that if you were put on one of these train cars, they didn't know what happened to you, but you never, ever came back. Some people were sent to death camps, or after they were at the concentration camp for a while, they were at death camps. And this is where Jews and other individuals were sent to be exterminated, to be killed in gas chambers by firing squad. They were killed. Towards the end of World War II, Hitler knew Germany was losing, and he went to great lengths to cover up the atrocities of the Holocaust. He knew it was wrong. That should never happen. But it did, and he tried to cover it all up. When the Russians were the first to get to some of these concentration camps, they were horrified at what these people were living through, what human beings really are capable of doing to each other, and how that so many people let this go and never spoke up. But if you look at these individuals, how skinny they are, you can see the bones in their faces and their chests. They've been starved almost to death. So, spring of 1945, U.S., British, and Russian troops begin to uncover the dozens of camps across Germany. They're horrified. Some of these camps, I'm very familiar with, Auschwitz. They're horrified at the sights they see, and now know why they were fighting this war. So if there's ever any question, why are we fighting this war? Seeing these kids or seeing these people in a concentration camp or a death camp reaffirms that, yeah, we're here for the right reasons. We're doing the right thing. So what are some lessons we can learn? We're going to talk more about the Holocaust in class. I just kind of want to give you a brief overview of what was going on. And I'm sure through your study of Anne Frank and ELA that you have a good idea, or, the process of why people went into hiding and what happened to them if they were found. But lessons we can learn. Don't follow people blindly. Too often people go along with things because it's easier to go along with something that is maybe not right than it is to stand up against that wrong. Too many people just go along with the flow and they never ask questions. They never do that. So if something's going on that you may not agree with or you don't think is right, ask questions. Why are we doing this? What is the point of this? You may be surprised that just speaking up might do a lot of difference. Here's something that's interesting. Address bullying behaviors immediately. Hitler was a bully. He had a position of power. And this is something that happened over and over again. The Nazis persecuting the Jewish people, sending them to these camps. Stand up for people. Don't just let it go because it's not you. There's a famous poem that starts out as a person who was in the Holocaust, and he writes this poem. He goes, when they came for the Jews, I did not speak up because I wasn't a Jew. When they came for the gypsies, I did not speak up because I wasn't a gypsy. When they came for the Protestants, I did not speak up because I was not Protestant. And when they came for me, no one stood up for me because they were all gone. It may not be the popular thing to do. It may not, to you, be the cool thing to do, but standing up for someone can make a world of difference. Because the same people doing the bullying were those who eventually did the killing in the Holocaust. And finally, take nothing for granted. Value what you have. Just think about that. Value what you have. Be happy with what you have. Because some people had a lot less and went through a lot worse to get to half as good of a place as you are right now. So that about wraps things up. Again, make sure you have something down for, was the Holocaust just a World War II event? Why did so few people stand up to the Nazi Party? Again, it was, people. Why didn't people stand up? It's a good question. We'll talk more about that in class. Big thing, maybe you can write some questions down on your note sheet. Or maybe some possible answers. Why did they not stand up? How are Jews identified? What was it like in the death camps? And what are some lessons we can learn? So that wraps it up. That's the end of the World War II unit. Hope you've enjoyed these lessons. Hopefully I can keep doing these. I like this format a little bit more. Hopefully you do too. We'll talk next time. Have a great night and see you in class.